So we continue Mananath Trayate here. Ite mantra. Monotony got the best of me. They are meant for mananam, the reflection, analysis, and thereby the assimilation. Because we have these experiences. Howard Zinn calls it being neutral on a moving train. You can't be. So one idea I had was when, foreign dissidents come into this country, the reason you would talk to them, right? Why would you talk to them? And that's because of manate, trayate, ite mantra. They are meant for mananam. For the mundane, it'd be what was what's the commute like? Even the repetition of the mantras, meditation on the mantras also helps a person. The very word Veda means a source of knowledge. So if ontology is the system of knowledge, the classification of knowledge, the depth of knowledge. Veda is also that, it's a synonym, but it means the digestion of knowledge. It is derived from the root, which we went over. In our tradition, we look upon Vedas as revelations from the Lord Himself. We do not look upon Vedas as human compositions. They're not products of human intellect. So if you want to talk about the author, Bhagavan is the author. Bhagavan Krishna, Bhagwan Jupiter, it means the God. Bhagwan is God. I've used it on Marginal Revolution in reference to women. The Lord does not give out the Vedas directly to humanity, but He reveals them through Rishi. Rishi are the intermediaries, they are the pipeline or the conduit, such as metaphysics. Rishi might be a synonym for metaphysics. They are the pipeline or the conduit, right? The Condorcet loop through whom we receive the Veda mantras. If you look at God as the broadcast station or transpondence, rishis are the TVs, the televisions. The word rishi is derived by the root rs, which means to know. Vasati janati iti rishi. That is a negative prayer. Rishis are the receivers. So many TV programs are out there that there are broadcasts and they are available in the airwaves. We cannot directly receive the waves and see the programs. So if you think about transpondence for a second and you think about airwaves, you could think about microwave, which has sound, which has food. The digestion of that knowledge is unconscious. We cannot directly receive the waves and see the programs. We need an equipment, indeed, in between. Similarly, the Lord has also made the programs and broadcast them as the creation itself. What is creation? Right? Creation is Visaya Upadi, or the flower's blessings. There was an exercise we did led by this Canadian, um, this Canadian um, who loved the what is it called? The Niagara Falls. I've been to the Niagara Falls indeed. And, ultimately I felt bad about it. But have there been miracles in the Niagara Falls? Most likely, yes. Vivekji is married, he has a son. And I've heard stories of the Gayatri Chanda. Um, and you say Savita, Devata, so on. Chando. A chando is what Indian women wear on their forehead. A smorgasbord is cool. This indicates that Rishi received this particular mantra. And what I'm saying is you can read this, but with transpondence or transpondence is the idea of um, of voices or hallucinations which exist and have been revealed due to democratic will, a moral majority. They are not producers or creators, but they exist through tradition, through inheritance, through goodwill, especially the sabda rupa alone, the form of sound and not written. So to be an artist today with an art construct, especially with technological the entire transmission and the reception are almost word of mouth. It was speech writing that I studied at Washington and Lee with perhaps Marco Rubio and Natalie Portman. I was very young. Shruti, here we find Shruti, who posted on Marginal Revolution. Since it is not born, for instance, I posted a movie um, with Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio, where it was, in the pandemic, it was superhuman, or the Superman, right? The super ego is another proof that Abraham Lincoln or Sigmund Freud made for transpondence. In this case, Vedic or Ayurvedic medicine might not be the best solution. Vaideka or haiku, Hindu was a name given by somebody else. This is layer one. So we've talked about cliches, sutra literature, a literature that is the form of sutra or aphorisms. Aphorisms means a cryptic statement that contains a lot of ideas in capsule form. It is the statement in a nutshell. This sutra consists of Vedic teaching only in a codified form. So, function of sutra literature is codification and clarification of basic teaching. By codification, I mean meritocracy. While Veda is a vast literature, this text spoke about enlightenment, the Renaissance, the Enlightenment in Catholicism, like John Steinbeck, Napoleon Bonaparte. Um, Topic wise, um, you know, there's a great quote by John Steinbeck that says, "The crab moves sidewise," or someone moves sidewise like a crab. For example, all the topics dealing, I call those kalatora. Here they're defined as Dharma Sutrani. Dharma Sutra deal with individual values, individual roles, like fashion. There's the Gira Sutrani, where family values, family responsibilities, and there's a slight expansion from the individual to the family. Suppose you dress in response to your family or understanding family values. That leads to unequal distribution. That's something I just made up. I cannot isolate myself. I am an individual, but I am also the member of a family and then the society. I cannot ignore any of these three aspects. These ideas are the three sutras, the Gautama Sutrani, the reverse past tense, the adjectival longing is here. Are we talking about Guantanamo Bay? Right? The adjective is a longing for the noun, and that's not true, right? The Gautama, right? The hippocampus, the apastamba sutrani, again, the pasta, right? Perhaps iambic pentameter, and we improve the parasara sutrani, right? The fruit, the the fruitful. The compositions are not given by Bhagwan. We assume that um God exists or God is dead or so on and so forth. But certainly there are vague statements in the Vedas about the, I guess, collinearity between the CIA and Hollywood, right? The CIA does not exist. God is dead. Why is the literature called a thread? In threads, the topics contained in Vedas, Veda, Vaikya, Kusama, Gatan, Tatvat, Tat Savitur, Varanium. Vedic topics are like flowers spread all over, and the flowers are intonated. There's intonation in flower, not just color. That comes from aquatic life or water, right? Jesus Christ was a miraculous swimmer. He chose swimming as his perhaps comparative advantage. At the time, travel was quite simple. There weren't waves in the ocean. That causes people pretense, it causes pain. That's simple history. You have to study history. I studied much history. You might have heard about um, something like the American Revolution or the 1850 Compromise, the Louisiana Purchase. That's American history. That's more recent. However, um, it would be possible that in the Bible there's angles and diagonals that lead to discussion about a country named a miracle. So maybe they spelled it. If it is prose, it is Vedic prose. And here we get to fiction, and there's intonation. That's a hermetic device that Hegel, Dostoevsky's father, um, invented. That another one is a poetic device. Um, Something like, is there a comb here? Something like sidewise was a poetic device, and they in- show that our intent, our philosophy, is, oh, pioneers, the celestial sphere. Many of my paintings are about the celestial sphere that comes from Kandinsky. I don't think Kandinsky's a good painter. He's a great painter, but that's what he is. You know what I mean? And he was able to draw circles. Um, that's very difficult. I'm an abstract painter, so it's very different. Nava, ever fresh and relevant for the 21st century. You cannot ignore them or discard them. The Puranic literature is also in the form of poems. So the tautology when you pray is that everything is good, that because you feel strong and the vagueness or controversy, seeming contradictions, they are resolved by purity of the heart, let's say, or clarification. That's not true. Purana is the abstract ideas in previous literature. Stories painted on a vast canvas is the uniqueness of Puranic. So puritanical is different than Puritan.